Hello, hello. All right, so I got a question for you. What do you do when you feel hopeless? And that's why I want to really dive into today because a lot of moms, you just wake up one day and you just don't have it in you to get up and keep going. No matter if you're a mom, anyone out there, sometimes you just wake up and you're like, "Ah, I'm not seeing it happen. I'm not seeing my dreams come to fruition. I'm not seeing action taking place. I'm not seeing the reward for all my efforts." And you just feel hopeless. So, what do you do when that happens? And I want to share with you three things. And truly, it does come down to three things that if you really grasp this, it's going to change your life. The first one is this is that hope does not disappoint. Now, let's get super clear on what hope is. First of all, hope is a feeling, but it's the feeling that comes from holding faith. So we get hope really screwed up today. Like sometimes we'll say, is going to be good weather for the picnic? Oh, I hope so. What that means is like it's kind of like just a wish you're putting out there, and there's no real substance behind that. Okay, hope is something that if you're talking about hope, the way that we've humanized it, it's like wishful thinking. If you're talking about hope the way God intends it, it is that feeling you hold, that state you hold when your faith is abounding. And what I mean by that is when you are believing more in what you see with your eyes closed than what you see with your eyes open. Now, what do I mean by that? Hopelessness comes out of looking at your circumstances and they're not lining up with your expectations, right? But hope comes out of looking at God and you're not looking at your circumstances, you're looking at God's promises over your circumstances. This is where we get hope from. So I want to share this verse with you. This is in Romans 5. And it says this through him, talking about Jesus, we have our access by faith into grace. Okay. Grace is that empowerment to do on earth what in our physical state we're unable to do. So it's that empowerment. Now, what does that mean for us? It means we have to have faith to enter that grace. If you want to have power to do everything that God has for you to do, then that is going to require grace. And how do you get grace? You get grace by faith. Faith is our access. It's like that secret key that we use to unlock the power we can leverage here in this earth. So it says, by grace in which we firmly and safely stand. Okay. And let us rejoice and exult in our hope of experiencing and enjoying the glory of God. So where do we stand? Where's our safety? Where's that safe place? Because our brain always wants to be safe. It's in understanding. It's standing in that understanding where God is for us and not against us. Now, what if you could hold that? What if you could hold just that one idea that God is for us and not against us? Because hopelessness comes out of that state of mind where you're like, I don't know if God's going to come through. I don't know if I can trust his promises. I feel like I'm alone here. I feel like nothing I desire is really happening. Maybe that's not true. It can be true according to your circumstances, but it's not according to his word. So that understanding, when it says right here, let us rejoice and exult in our hope of experiencing and enjoy the glory of God, we have to have more faith in God than we have in our circumstances. Now, that's a hard thing to do, especially for moms when you're looking around, you're like, I'm just going from like busted to more busted. I'm just more and more tired. I'm just more and more exhausted. I'm just not seeing it. Like I'm so far away from from doing and accomplishing everything in me. But maybe that's not true. Maybe it's just true in your circumstances, but it's not true in your relationship with God. So that understanding comes from standing in faith. Okay, I haven't seen it yet. Maybe you should put a comma there. I haven't seen it, comma, yet. And maybe that'll change things. It says, moreover, let us also be full of joy now. Let us exult and triumph in our troubles and rejoice in our sufferings. Like, I don't want to hear that. I don't know about you, but I don't want to hear to rejoice in my sufferings. I'm like, no, I don't want to. I want to gripe in them. I want to complain in them. I want to feel hopeless in my sufferings. But we know this about our sufferings. It says pressure and affliction and hardship produce patient and unswerving endurance. How do you get faith? You get faith by walking through some valleys. You get faith by going through some storms. You get faith by going through some fiery furnaces and coming out not even smelling like smoke. That's how you get faith. We want faith to just be deposited in us miraculously. Like we wake up one day, we're like, oh my gosh, I have so much faith. That's not how faith works. Faith works by being developed in you through hardship, because otherwise we would never choose that belief. You know, sure, faith is easy when it's sunshine and rainbows, but that's not faith. That's just a feeling of contentment. That's not faith. Rejoicing in spite of my circumstances, that's faith. And that shows up strong. It says endurance develops maturity of character. Character produces joyful, confident hope. So if you want to get to that hope, you got to go through some storms, because that's where we get to verse 5 in Romans 5 that says, hope never disappoints or deludes or shames us. There's this idea that all this hope that I have, like what I'm hoping for, what I'm believing for, what I'm praying for, is not going to happen. It's going to be embarrassing. It's going to be shameful. It's like I'm delusional. I'm still believing this, even though I'm not seeing it line up. No, that's earthly hope. Heavenly hope means I don't have to see it yet. I don't have to, because I've gone through enough storms that I am stable enough to not believe in everything I see, but believe in what I know. And I know that I know that I know that God is for me. And he's walking with me through this, and he does not disappoint ever. So that's the first thing. First thing, hope doesn't disappoint. The second thing is hope keeps you steady. Okay. Hope keeps you steady. It says here, I'm not going to read this whole thing, but go back to it because it's important. This is Hebrews 6. This is what I want you to see in here. It's Hebrews 6, verse 19. We have this hope as a sure and steadfast anchor of the soul. It cannot slip. It cannot break down under whoever steps out upon it. A hope that reaches farther and enters into the very certainty of the presence within the veil. What kind of hope is that? The kind of hope that's so steady you can step out on it. That's the kind of walking on water that Jesus did. He stepped out onto water, and he wasn't walking on water. What he was walking on was hope. Very different. So there's going to be times in life that you need to walk out on the water. You need to get out of the boat. You need to get into the storm, and that's going to require you to become stormproof, waterproof, sink-proof. How do you get that? Hope. Hope is that, okay, I don't see it, but I know it. And it's my steady rock. It's my safe place. Your safe place cannot be in circumstances, because circumstances will look really good one day and they look like crap the next day. And you're like, oh my gosh, it was going great. Now it's not, or it's not going so good. Maybe it'll go better. Like that ebbing and the ebb and flow, that up and down, that's always going to be life. That's not steady. Life is not steady. You come out of crisis, you go into crisis. What is steady is the word of God. It will hold you. It will give you your ground. It will be that safe place, that rock you can cling to, that anchor, that no matter what is going on in the storm, that hope, that anchor, that's going to hold me fast, and I'm going to be okay. Now, I want you to know something so important. It says this about hope. And it says that we have this hope. It says we, because of two unchangeable things. This is verse 18. His promise and his oath, in which is impossible for God ever to prove false or deceive us. So God is not deceiving you. He is not going to be false to you. He's going to come through for you because of two things, his promise and his oath. So I want you to think about, like, if I was holding $100 bill here, how do you know it's valuable? Well, two things. First of all, The words that it says, $100, is $100. But also, it's based upon the power that backs it up. So it's not just the promise that's on the bill, because it could be monopoly money, but it's also the power that backs it. I know I can take this to a bank and it is worth $100. So I want you to know that God's word is what you can take to the bank, because it's not just a promise that's written in his word. It's also backed with the power of his covenant, that covenant that we have with God through Jesus. And when it's backed like that, if you know that it's backed in that, you won't move, you won't swerve. So if we can understand this promise that God gives us, and we have a clear understanding of the power through Jesus that backs it up, if his blood was shed for it, if he died for it, for that promise, then it's my steady rock. I don't have to trust in my circumstances. I can trust in his promise. And here's the third thing is hope just reveals the heart. Some days you do wake up feeling hopeless. And some days you wake up really excited. It's just revealing your heart. So this is what we have to understand. Luke 6:45. Check this out. A good man out of the good treasure of his heart brings forth good, and an evil man out of the evil treasure of his heart brings forth evil. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So what happens? Information from this world goes into our heart. It's filtered through all the core beliefs we have there. And then it comes out through our mouth, and we can see what comes out through our mouth. I don't know if this is going to happen. What am I doing wrong? I got to figure this out. Oh my gosh, my life. When that comes out of our mouth, it's just revealing a heart check. Something's in my heart. Something's in this filtering system that's taking everything I see and everything I'm exposed to, and it's filtering it, and it's coming out as hopelessness. We need to look into our heart, because feelings are it's just feedback. It's not facts. It's just feedback. So hopeless does not mean your life is hopeless. It just means you got to look in your heart, because there's something that is filtering through that is leaving you feeling like there's no hope. Remember, it's just feedback, not facts. So what happens here? I want to give you 3 questions to take out of this. When you're feeling hopeless, 3 questions to ask yourself. Number 1 is this: what is stored in my heart right now? What is the belief, the core belief? Things like, no matter how hard I work, it doesn't happen. Things don't work out for me. I'm not safe. I can't trust God. Is that stored in your heart? Because when that comes out of your mouth, or when the feelings of hopelessness come up, it's just showing you what's in your heart. And it's okay. You're not condemned for that. It's just insight. This is what's going in my heart. And what is the second question? Is this real or imagined? When you're carrying hopelessness, chances are you've created something in your imagination that's giving you the worst case scenario. So ask yourself, is this real? Is this really going on right now? Or is this just imagined? And here's the third question. It's this: what can I believe right now? So if you're feeling hopeless, it's okay. It's just a feeling. Check your heart. Now, what could I believe right now? If all beliefs are available to me, what could I believe right now that could just shift by 2 degrees? And if I can have that little shift, I know a big result is waiting for me. So that's what I want to share with you today. And I'd love it if you left me a comment. Let me know if this helps you. Share it with other people. I love you, and I'm so grateful for you. Have a hopeful day.